Welcome, everybody, to Settle It on the Screen for April 1st. April
2014.
2014.
Right.
I am Michael Soroka here with Nick Houselander, Josh Houselander, and Mike Janae. Okay, so when we started the podcast, we've been podcasting a long time with Detroit Rowdy Radio.
Yeah, for a decade. Or now it's been a decade.
There was basically... We figured we wanted to do the Twin Galaxies podcast because we figured we could promote the gamers because Walter wasn't doing it. But, I also had something else in mind than doing the podcast. Basically, I wanted to build a relationship with Twin Galaxy. Sham. So if you want to say this has been part of the sham, but maybe it is because we wanted to get Twin Galaxies to back our grand idea. And now, you know what? We really may not need Twin Galaxies to back us. If they do, that's great. If they don't,
Otherwise,
oh well.
Perfect.
But what we're going to talk to you about, do it ourselves. Yeah, exactly. We're going to do it ourselves. Maybe they'll help. Maybe they won't. We've hinted about it in previous shows, and I've hinted it in episode 6, episode 13, and we really never got into it.
You specifically kind of told us not to.
Yeah, because we kind of wanted to see where Twin Galaxies would go.
Oh,
see
definitely.
if it would be a Twin Galaxies type of thing.
Yep.
And at this point, maybe they will help out, but really, if you want something done, you're going to have to do it yourself.
And we didn't want other people to know our trick, so we hid it.
So we hit it, yeah, just like
Our
all the
trick
gameplay.
is-
But now, since everything's
Our
out of the
trick is
basket,
we did this thing.
and we're officially ready to move in the direction to bring this to everybody's attention, we're going to talk about it here. And what we're going to talk about is something we've been doing for 15 years.
Since 1997.
1997, is that 15 years?
No, actually, anymore.
17 years.
17 years ago it
We
started,
haven't done one in a couple years.
it's been on hiatus now for a while.
But we're going to do it this year. For us, because we do this for us.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's a lot of fun. And what we call it, and what we're going to call it, is the Video Game Championship. That's simple. The VGC.
The VGC.
And what the VGC is all video games. Not just your Donkey Kong, not just your Modern Warfare, or what is it, Call of Duty now they call it. It's not your Dota, it's not your League of Legends.
It could be.
It could be. Part of it, it's a collection of all video games.
Yeah.
A whole, we'll say Olympic, is that the way we kind of describe it?
It could be, sure.
Yeah.
Kind of
kind
like
of
an Olympic
Olympic.
type idea.
Bringing all your video game talents to the table, whether if it's an arcade game, a racing game, sports game, PC game, any type of video games to the equation to find out who is the best video game player out there.
Because if you're great at Halo, that's awesome, but you might suck at Dig Dug. And, being good at one game isn't impressive.
Right.
I mean, it's cool, but it's just you're good at
all the
one
world
game.
record holders. We just
I
threw
know
down.
that. I know that, but this is how I've always thought. And I'm not saying it's not awesome if you're great at a game. Don't get me wrong. I'm really good at Contra, and I take pride in that. But I'm really bad at basically every other game. So, and to me, it's if you're amazing at one game, it's that's cool, but. To me, you want to be a great video game player. It's so much different than that. I want you to be good in television games, Atari games, Nintendo, TurboGrafx, the iPhone, anything. If you're good at video, if you consider yourself an amazing video game player, that means you can literally play a game on every single console ever made and maybe beat somebody.
No, you're right, Nick. And the thing about that is nobody on planet Earth is the best at all of them.
No.
Exactly.
What we want to test is who is the best at all of them, because you're not, but that means you're the best at all of them. That means you're the third best at Intellivision, you're the second best at Genesis, you're the first best at Xbox, you're the 10th best at TurboGrafx 16. It doesn't matter. And those numbers, actually, even the 10 number is highly exaggerated.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yes.
but you can be, okay, I'm great at this. I'm okay at this. Everyone's going to have a weak link.
Yeah.
Everyone has a weak link at something. But this tests who has the best skill
Who is the
overall.
best all-around gamer is the way to put it. And we'll explain what we've done. Started in 1997. I wasn't included, which is fine. I was in a
We
far
didn't
distant
exclude
land.
him. He just was at a different.
I was in a far distant land,
Yep.
about 3 miles away. But
different high school.
let's just say there was a big wall, and I was
basically.
prevented not by these guys or my, not my, well, maybe my fault, but
No, it was your
whatever.
fault.
There's the way it started, 97, 6 friends. Nick here, Josh, our other friends, Ryan, Chris, Ed, and Jared. Said,
Actually, Nate's story.
No, Nate's
Jared,
story?
Jared came in the same year you
Just
did.
say yeah, okay. Got into a basement, Nick's basement, and we're like, hey, let's have a video game tournament championship.
Technically, we,
And it
we
wasn't-
brought it up over lunch at
Yeah,
high school.
exactly. So we okay, well,
But it's true.
please correct me.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no,
you
it's
guys were
true,
there
yeah.
the first year.
We had been talking about it for a while,
And it was a one night you did it, one Saturday night.
yeah, it was one of those. Yeah, no, a Sunday. We did it a Sunday. In our delusional minds, we thought this would take like 3 or 4 hours, and we were like, at that time, we probably only had like 15 systems or something like that. Because at that point we were all like 15 and 16. We didn't have that many.
We had what we thought at the time was a pretty gnarly
which it was.
group
Well,
of
in
systems.
1997.
Right.
That's a lot of
We
systems.
really did have a lot. We didn't have it all, but
No.
we had a lot.
We
We
had a
thought,
decent amount.
hey, let's test them all.
Yeah.
Let's test
See
who's
if
the
they
best
work.
out of us 6 people, who's the best at all of them.
Yeah.
And that's how it started, and we do it every year. We get together. Now, there is a point system based on, I guess you can describe it like Olympic medals, but you do get more points more than gold, silver, and bronze. The point system goes further than that. I like to call it like more like IndyCar.
Right.
IndyCar
Yeah,
does the
that's
points.
it. Was always.
It's like the
we
top.
based it on Mario
Now, of
Kart.
course-
Right. Yeah, I would say it's loosely based on Super
Mario
Mario
Kart.
Kart's point system.
9,
Yeah.
6,
Loosely
3,
based,
1.
but
And
it
with
is
that-
nonetheless.
modified a little bit.
And to go into that further is that would be for one game on one video game system. Now, some video game systems we would choose the games every year. For example, Nintendo was a favorite, so we'd get 3 to 4 games per year. We all choose them, and if you get first place, well, you got 10 points. And if you got third place on that game, you got 6 points. And at the end of the day, after all the systems and all the games played, let's say a maximum of 50 games were played, add the scores up, and that would determine who is the true video game champion for that year. And we do it every year. I've actually made a console, or not a console, I've made a trophy that has my name on it because, like Lord Stanley's Cup, it's named after the creator.
Yeah.
Granted, I didn't make the Nintendo, but
Not the
I still,
creator, but the
the idea behind it.
Yeah.
And it is a trophy that is awarded. It is working, semi-working. It works pretty
It works.
decent.
You got to like jam 2 cartridges in.
Yeah, it
There's
still
like,
works,
You put
yeah.
one in, jam it, put it down, and then jam another one in.
Yes.
Yeah, it works though. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Shim
And
yeah, that's a good
it's
idea.
it's for bragging
It works,
rights. Of course, we went and picked up the trophy from the previous champion, and of course, brags it. He puts it on display at his house, and that's
was
part of the
worried
rules.
that we weren't going to give it back to him.
Exactly.
Maybe we will.
And it's a piece of pride amongst our
Oh,
our
yeah.
group of friends. What we want to do is we're ready because we know who the best video game player is amongst us 8 people. It
Oh,
does
without a
change year
doubt.
to year
Without a
because
doubt.
games change. We can't play all the video games in the world every year, but we want to expand this to a broader audience.
Definitely.
Maybe a local audience here for 1 year, U.S. We want to bring it to that bigger scale, and that's where kind of our little doing the podcast for Twin Galaxies. Hopefully, Twin Galaxies would help us make this dream come alive.
Yeah.
We have multiple people. I'm thinking, hundreds, thousands of people getting together, just like we do have gaming conventions right now, playing StarCraft. All these people playing one game, but all these people coming together, competing against each other in this type of format. So, who is the true video game champion for 2013, 2014? Not just the
so
Kong off, not
Oh
just
my
the
God,
best
it'd be
Donkey
awesome.
Kong player, not the best. We want to know who's the best video game player.
Yeah.
And we're the guys that are going to do that for you. It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
Now, of course, you're going to, since you are the internet, you're going to go, well, how are you going to get the money? You're going to have it here. Well, yeah, we're going to work on it. But we want to know if there's a general interest of our fans who would want to compete in this. So
Yeah.
please leave a message, in the comment section below or Facebook us, social media. Would you be interested? Would you travel? I mean, I have a bunch of plans, numbers, the way we would do it, of course, would change on how many people show
definitely.
up. And the logistics would be tough. Like, we play 50 games.
It's a hell of an undertaking. I mean, it's one of those things. We tried to cap it at 50 games, especially after, like, year 4, when it was, like, when we started to get some systems, and more systems started coming out. But we had to cap it at 50 because, I mean, we could have done so many. And like I said, we stupidly thought it was going to take, or naively thought it was going to take 3 or 4 hours. Even that first year when we played 12 systems in probably 20 or 25 games, it still took like 12 hours.
Yep.
And it was like, oh, wow, okay. So then it was like we did it a couple more, and then it took like 24 hours, and then we capped it at 22. Because if you wanted to have it take 5 days, it would take 5 days. Like this thing, it's like the goldfish version of something. Like put it in a pond, it'll grow huge. That's how this thing is. So it is one of those things. And logistically, it was 8 of us doing this, and we would start having to plan it 6 months in advance just for that one day. And it would. Even the day before, we were always scrambling.
So we want to bring this to a larger scale to find out who is the better the best video game player out there, and not just us 8 friends, of course.
No.
I wouldn't be competing because we'd be running this. Yeah,
I'm
but
not good.
We just want to know if there's a general consensus to do this because it is a dream for us. I mean, we've been always talking about this. Josh,
for a long time.
Josh is I'd like to say one of the very big head of it. I'd like to say he's the president of it more than anybody over the years. He had the plans of growing it every year of our group of friends. I mean, we had it up to 12 at one point. And I agree with Josh, too, that we need to keep growing it.
Sure.
We want 16 people, 18 people. But now I'm thinking, 200 people, a weekend event. And of course, it wouldn't just be the competition. There'd still be vendors, just like every other gaming show you go to. But, the reason you're there is to try to see where you rank. Now, what I'm saying is we're going to make it fun for everybody. For example, people compete to be 64th on Donkey Kong, 58th. I would think it would be awesome. I know I'm not the best video game player, but it would be cool for me to go somewhere and go, I placed 99 out of 800 people in the video game championship. That is awesome, and that was such a fun. I mean, that type of. I would love for that to be out there. Granted, it isn't, so we're going to create it for you.
And Mike, the thing is, the mere just simply talking about this will raise so many questions among people. And the thing is, you have those questions. Please direct them towards us. Those questions you may or may not have. Some of them we have answers for. Some of them we don't yet.
Oh, no.
I mean, how would we do this? Perhaps it would be invitational. Like martial arts tournaments, and you find guys throughout the world, you invite them, or perhaps it would be a sign-up thing. We don't know. Are there flaws? Yeah, of course there's flaws. Nick had kind of started to touch on, there's got to be some sort of time limit.
Yeah, there's be a cap. Yeah.
And it raises that question. I mean, people even in the micro of how small it was for us, there'd be people saying, wait a second,
arguments.
but if I play this exactly, so many arguments.
Oh my
but
gosh.
it raises the question that there's a time limit, so if I play a game for 3 hours and do really well, I'm penalized because I don't have time to play other games.
Yes.
Potentially, yes.
Yep.
Yes, that can happen.
That can happen. And what we'll do in our experience for doing this the past 15 years, we've changed it. For example, we'll use like a Twin Galaxies rule. To be honest with you, like the Sonic, all the points world records, and we've done this in the VGC. For example, they give you 3 lives. Well, you know what? If we're going to have 200 people playing the same game, we'll have a few consoles up, maybe 4 or 5 at the same game. There's not enough time for everybody to play that one game in a weekend. So you got to cap it to like 1 life, like Twin Galaxies did with extreme settings. You know what? To find out who's the true best player, you don't need 3 lives. We can just go off of, we can measure the skill of how somebody went on 1 life.
Right,
we don't need the 5 lives.
Right, because it's not about that individual game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really not. And there's going to be years where, for instance, you may be an amazing Super Nintendo player.
Yep.
But you show up in 2017 and you look at the Super Nintendo games and think, crap, I'm not good at any of those.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's going to happen.
The luck of the draw.
Just on the other side of it,
Absolutely.
there's going to be that year you might suck at PlayStation 2, but you look at the lineup that year and think, oh my God, that's the only PlayStation 2 game I'm decent at, and it's in the lineup. You're going to steal one that year. That's great. Mm-hmm. I know as a competitor, as a former competitor in this, there would be times where I'd be like, wow, I could, I would look at systems that I suck at and see a game that I've actually played and thought, wow, I could steal some points on Xbox this year. I suck at Xbox, but that's it's not so much strategy. It's more dumb luck, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
But it does overall test the skill.
Yeah. And when we're talking about overall, this will get you excited because this is me and Nick's favorite. Josh's part too. I know for sure. Mike's joined us. He joined us in a little bit, so he's already got a taste. But we've expanded it every year. And when we're talking about systems now, when it comes to getting the systems, we may be limited to a larger crowd, but we want to include as much as possible. And when I mean much as possible, we want at least a 2600 arcade, Atari 2600. 7800. We're excluding 5200 because I know we're not going to get enough systems. I'm sorry.
I still want it in though.
I want it in.
Nintendo, Super Nintendo,
ColecoVision,
N64, ColecoVision,
Channel F.
Channel F. I would love for Channel F to be in there. If we can find a way to get Channel F in, we will.
You have Channel F2?
We have 2 of them.
No, you have a Channel F2, dude. It works fine.
But we need multiple ones for more people.
No,
this is what I'm saying. We do Master System. We got enough Master Systems. Genesis, no problem. PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, Xboxes. Include all these systems with all different genres of games. And that's where it's exciting because it gives everybody a chance. And then the best part about it, too, is depending on how organized we can be, which I'd love to do, we can have mini champions of the whole. Of course, all your points add up, but guess what? Oh, we have a Super Nintendo champion of the 3 games. This person got 2nd place, 4th place, and 7th place. Congratulations! So you can come and compete. And if you really don't want to, if you want to come and party more, and you're really not into playing it, but you really want to win like the Super NES award, I played the Super NES games, and that's what we're hoping to try to create on a large scale. And that's what we want to get you excited about.
You're right, Mike. And if we do it right, if you happen to break the Twin Galaxies record on the Atari 7800 game you're playing or whatever, you've broke the record and you have it. We'll have it We'll have it ready for you. It's right there. You can submit that score then. That's where it would be a great marriage between the VGC and Twin Galaxies. And
that's why we kind of say, hey, let's do this for the show. Maybe we can influence them to do our dream or our idea, because there's a lot of things that Twin Galaxies has in place in terms of rules that would work well. Not every game would work well in a tournament championship type of style. For like I said, one life, who can get the most points, that works out. Or like a speed run on Mario, we know who the world record holder is, of course, on that, but who's the best that day amongst all the other games. That takes 4 minutes or 6 minutes. Andrew can do it in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah, anybody who's going to be competing is going to get it done in 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So that's something we can put into the championship. Now, if we're playing an RPG, well, that's there's certain games that won't work in this format, and those games aren't trackable.
Zelda's not.
Yeah, Zelda can't make it.
Sorry.
I mean, maybe
Final
a mini
Fantasy.
game. And that's where we're going to be the creative team that finds the way to how to accomplish this.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's just.
No, it's awesome.
More us talking about it now, the more questions I have in my head of how to do it. But we just want to bring it to everyone's attention to see, hey, are you guys willing to do it? Because that will fuel us to keep working.
Oh, definitely. And for those of you who are worrying that it's not included, the Virtual Boy is without a doubt in the video.
We got 3 Virtual Boys.
3 Virtual Boys.
And of course,
basically all the American games. We have a bunch of the Japanese games too, though, because there's like a ton more. But and to show how far back we did, I believe it was VGC 5 in 2001. We actually had a Twin Galaxy station set up.
Yep.
We had I think it was Sonic Spinball was the game, hooked up to a VHS recorder, and
actually,
I think that's what it was.
There is scores in the Twin Galaxies data. None of the Sonic Spinballs were kind of worth submitting.
Yeah.
None of
no,
us
we
scored.
didn't do it. It's really hard to set a record of the VGC
Galaga,
for 36 hours
the
straight.
Xbox Galaga Live records.
Yeah.
You, me, and Eddie, the former champion, are on the scoreboard, are actually
Are we
from that
really?
competition.
Nice.
That's where they were submitted from.
That's awesome.
So that's just the kind of where we came from, and hopefully that marriage would work. Maybe it'll work in the future, but we're pushing with our dream here now with you. I don't know. Anything else you guys want to add?
Well,
there's lots. There's so
I was
much
going
to
to say,
talk
kidding,
about.
we can talk about this for
just a little bit. I'll try
5
not to elaborate on them
5
too
hours.
much, but just, Mike had mentioned bringing in other systems that aren't doable necessarily, but it doesn't mean that we're ruling them out forever.
Yeah.
If this were to take place tomorrow, Vectrex wouldn't be in it because we don't have
Enough.
enough working Vectrexes to make this happen.
To make it fair for everybody to play, yeah.
that we are against having it in. We want it in.
we
If
want
we want
every
channel
system
Fs,
ever.
we want channel Fs. We want Vectrex. We want TurboGrafx CD. We want every system
Jaguar
that's
CD.
ever been out there. Yeah,
God,
but it
so
doesn't.
awesome.
But
It is so hard to find.
so we're trying.
Bought multiple Jaguars.
Another thing in the future. Oh my God! I just ashed on the console. My
fine.
cigar.
Dude.
I'm sorry.
It's
Come
like, It's
on.
like the Stanley Cup, man. It's gonna be.
That's
a pool.
true. Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can drink champagne out of it and stuff.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I take that back.
You'll
I
probably
did not
get
say that.
crushed. Don't do that.
But the thing is, also in the past, we're not mandating this. We're also not ruling it out. In the past, we've mixed it up with years where we've had pairs.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
We've had
good.
pairs.
Oh, yeah,
We've
definitely.
had teams. We did a two-man teams or two-woman. Sorry, pretend I'm the Constitution. I'm not trying. I'm just when I say
got
man,
you.
I mean people.
Okay,
Two,
gotcha.
two-man teams, four-man teams, five-man teams. We've had 6. Did we do a 6? We did a 6.
No.
No.
Okay, we planned to do a
5 on
6. It
5.
didn't work.
It
out.
didn't.
If we do 5, we can do Dota tournament.
But we've done this in the past where you have teams as well. We're not saying that would definitely happen. We definitely don't want to
We
rule it
want it to
out
happen.
either because that was
yeah.
a lot of fun in the past too, to have teams bring in a lot of 2-player games, a lot of co-op games, or also
They're
just
easier to do,
in the
too.
4-person teams. Then you get to decide, hey, he's gonna play this. She's
You
gonna
get to
play
play
this.
that.
We're gonna do, and then you kind of get to pick your strengths a little bit that way. It's all just ideas right now. We're all just working on it. And every question that's submitted, we will take it not only as a question that we need to answer, we'll also potentially wrap it into a suggestion.
Oh yeah.
You have a question, we'll say, hey, the answer to that question's no, but I love it. And that'd be a great way to bridge.
It's no today.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2 years it's a
Right.
yes.
Like, will there be a corn dog vendor there? Probably not.
No,
But-
that's kind of
a great
that's
idea.
kind of mandatory. I'm sorry.
That's mandated.
Yeah, I mean, even stuff like that. What can make the event? I mean, like I said, this is very infant, but the idea will grow,
Yeah, totally.
and it's gonna be it's gonna be so much fun.
And there's always kind of a mix of idealism and pragmatism in this stuff too, where you set it out as this is what we want it to be, but
This is what it
to
is.
make it work,
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
have
have
to
to
do
do this. And at times you acknowledge that this isn't necessarily the best way to do it, but we got to make it work, so we're gonna do this.
Exactly.
I mean that's kind of what
Yeah,
it
just
is.
like when we're talking about some games will be excluded, because it'd be great for these games to be included, but in a larger scale, we just can't, and that's the part where we work at this and we have the experience of doing this in
Yeah.
a smaller version where we're ready to take the next step.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the stuff. Like, I am confident we can handle it. I'm not saying we don't have the money to do it, but
we're capable.
we're definitely capable.
And when it
It
comes
was,
to
it was a highly organized thing. I mean, almost maybe even too organized
Yeah.
for its own good sometimes. But it was when going. It takes all your time. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
we haven't done it in a couple years too. Is you just get older and stuff
Life
like that.
gets in the way.
Life gets in the way. But it really does. It is an incredibly invasive thing, and you kind of have to just fully immerse yourself in it. And it's one of those things where we always talked about it, because when we got into, there's a lot of arguments and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where it's a blast to do and everything like that. And, you don't want to take it too seriously, because if you take it too seriously, it's not fun. But in order to make something really fun like that, you have to take it really seriously. So
Yeah, to get to that point
you
of
really
the fun,
do.
yeah.
You can't look at it like it's just some, oh, this is cool. It really is something that you really got to take seriously. You have to almost look at it as a job, not in a bad way, but and I guess I'm saying that if you're trying to do it with your buddies or something like that, if you want to do it right, do it right. Don't just, if you genuinely think, oh, let's just bring 12 systems together in some games, it won't work.
No,
we've seen other people
we've
try this
seen
and
other
fail
people try to
miserably.
do this. Yes.
But no, it's awesome, and God, no, we literally have been talking about this since we were teenagers, and it would be really gotta be cool.
Be cool. And we're thinking huge too. We're only talking about little things. Josh brought up the thing of money of doing it. Yes, of course, there's money to do it. Hopefully, there's sponsors and all that logistics. Don't ask, those questions. Oh, who could you get a sponsor? Don't ask us how we're going to do that kind of stuff. Ask us about the competition because ultimately we would want a sponsor and we would want to give out prizes.
Yeah.
We're not just doing this for we want to give out a grand prize of $5,000, $10,000,
That'd be great.
$20,000, just like every other. Hundreds of thousands of dollars to the best all-around video game player.
Yeah.
And to elaborate on what Nick was saying when he's talking about the seriousness of the scale of this, we're not asking you if you're looking at this. Oh my God, this is something I'd love to compete in. If you're the person who's thinking that right now, we're not asking you to necessarily take it super seriously.
No.
What Nick is just trying to say is for 99% of the people to have a lot of fun and really enjoy it, somebody's got to take it seriously.
Yep.
The 1% has got to take it too seriously. Has got to go a little bit overboard with it, and we're prepared to do that. We're prepared to formulate this and to work out the logistics and to the best of our ability make it great, fun, just
reality,
and competitive. And that's also to elaborate on something Mike said. When people talk about competitions, we know Twin Galaxies provides us, and other sites as well, but Twin Galaxies especially, and hopefully in the future, will provide who is the best, who got the best score on this particular game. But in under the guise of competitions don't gauge world records. Competitions gauge what you did that day.
Yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a basketball game decades ago. Nobody's done it since, but they've won NBA championships like crazy since then. Because Wilt Chamberlain did that once, one day. We're not asking for you to break the Donkey Kong world record. We're not asking you to break the Galaga world record. We're seeing what you do that day.
Yeah.
Because
world records are not a part of the idea.
Yeah, I mean,
they're really not.
if
you set one, that's awesome.
We kind of just use this as a template in a way. For example, if we did it by invite only, it'd be a way to, bring specific people in,
Yeah, whether you're Babe Ruth or Michael Jordan or Miguel Cabrera or Billy Mitchell, everybody has a bad day.
Yeah.
Everybody has a bad day.
Oh my
Everybody
God.
has a great day. That's what it does, and a competition shows that.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
This is why
Billy
you play
Mitchell's
the
got
game.
all that hot sauce. I don't think he ever has a bad.
He might.
That's true.
With that
That's some
being
good hot sauce.
with that being
I love
said, I've never seen Billy Mitchell have a bad day. I'm guessing he
He never
does.
lets it on.
But I mean, whenever I've seen the guy play, I've never seen him have a bad day. But in the same token, I've never seen Billy Mitchell play games that he's not great at.
That's
Yes.
true.
And that's
I've seen him play one.
and that's the thing when you
Oh, yeah,
make
you
somebody,
told me about
it's one thing to showcase the game you're great at,
Yeah.
but to make somebody play the game they're not great at,
Oh,
that in some ways shows your greatness.
Oh, no,
that
definitely.
can really show where you're at. That you sit down and play a game you've never played. Some of these, sometimes you sit down in the VGC in the past
time.
for us, and this would, as it's expanded larger, this would become more and more true as the years go on. You will sit down to play games that you've never played before.
Yeah.
That's like
Maybe it's a
half
new
the
game, maybe it's an old game.
games, man.
You've been like, crap.
And that's
I've
another-
never played
and
Air
that's-
Zonk for
and that's another
TurboGrafx
thing.
before.
We really didn't get into it when we did our competitions. We picked the games together because one, we had to collect them, make sure everybody
Yeah, it was
make sure Nick
very
brings Contra,
difficult.
make sure somebody else brings something else. But what we can do by not competing is we can throw the element of surprise into it too. We could make it kind of like the Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah.
Well, not the Nintendo World Champions, like the movie The Wizard.
The Wizard. Mario 3!
Where
We could have Mario 4 for NES.
exactly my point.
No one's ever
The
played
point,
that
like
game.
in the Wizard, they play video
Right.
games, and then they get there, and there's a surprise game. Granted, it might be a game you've played, but you won't
Right.
know about it until you arrive. So that's part of the element that the surprise it. Kind of
Right.
something I've been hoping we would do.
Definitely.
And that's kind of
best part.
you got to play a game you can't be prepared for. Who's the best on that? You know, it's so much fun.
You know, and you talk about that too. Ed, who competed, and
His
name is listed on this thing several times.
And as much as it pains me to admit it, he's the best video game player
That we
out of
know.
all of us that we know. At least I know. But Ed is the worst fighting game player I've ever seen in my entire life. He's so bad. It's like, I don't know how someone can be that bad at a fighting game, especially he's been playing them for over 20 years now. So he might wipe the floor with 75% of the other games. You might be the crappiest video game player ever. You might come in last that year, but you're probably going to smoke at a fighting game. So it's one of those things where it's an overall thing where as good of a video game player as you are, there's always going to be that thing where you're just bad at. You're just lousy at those games.
It'd be a lot of fun to say, hey, I beat the world champion
Absolutely.
in Street Fighter. And that's
Well, and
Good, it's fun.
And that's another just one of the many things
Yeah.
we've raised today that's going to raise more questions than it answers. But in the past, we would do, I'll try to be brief, but we would do tournaments where, okay, we're playing Mortal Kombat this year, where since there's only 8 of us in it or 12 of us in it, each person would play each person in the thing. If there's 200 people in it, obviously that can't be done.
We'll
but
have to
there
do
are still
something
ways to do
around
it.
robin
There are
type
still
thing.
ways to do
Brackets
it.
and
Where you play a mini season, if you will, in certain ways. And
my God,
that's
yes.
because head-to-head competition is a major part of gaming.
Oh, it's
For example, there is a lot of, obviously, Street Fighter is
Yep.
one of the major competitions. There's basically, we'd bring that in a condensed version
Yeah, totally.
for one little portion of this great VGC.
Everybody plays 10 people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody plays 10 people. Yeah, and
Imagine
then-
a 64-man tournament, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, they do that, Nick. I mean, but
I'm
that
just
would be
saying,
part.
we never got to do something like that.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it'd be
but,
really cool.
but that would be a part of what we do.
Yeah.
So that's a good part. You brought up the fighting game because I know that question.
Well,
has
in
been brought
fighting
up.
games, and a lot of people love fighting games, and a lot of people don't like fighting games. But
And that
they
could be
work
one-
so well.
And that could be one of the decisions
so
you
well,
make
yeah.
too when you're at where do I want to spend my time?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
for example, there might be 50 games to play, but there might be no physical way to play all 50 games. Of course, you want to play all 50 games because that could give you the most chances at points, but you're not going to get, if you're 50th and 49th, you're still going to get 0 points either way. So you might go make sure you play a different genre. So you could exclude yourself from a tournament, maybe go play a racing game, And that's something, of course, you, the gamer, will
You
have
have to
to
make the
decide
decision.
how are you going to win the tournament.
At the same time, though, and I did this one year, I lost. I could have come in 4th, and I came in 5th by 1 point because I decided not to play this game because I thought I wouldn't get that great in it. I know I would have placed in this game, and I lost because of it. So it's like, try to play as many games as, even if you don't think you're going to do that good, that 1 point, really, which is what's
Yep.
great about it. That 1 point that you came 4th place in, that might be the difference between winning and losing. So.
And
Which
as-
is what makes it so awesome. It's a strategy thing, even outside of the gaming play.
You're right. And as chairman of it, we would do our best to minimize that choice you'd have to make. But in a thing like this, you may have to, at some point, you might have to make the choice. Do I stop playing Sonic 2 right now? I'm having a great game at Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Do I stop playing to go play my scheduled Mortal Kombat tournament? Do I miss out on that? You might have to make that choice at some point throughout
Well, of course,
the night.
and we're going to work our hardest so that
That
doesn't have to be a
happen,
choice, but
it might be.
especially the first few years, that might be a choice.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a week-long thing. And
It'll probably be like a
you know,
Friday to Sunday.
Yeah,
it's
it's-
type of a weekend type of thing to start
48
off.
hours.
So please leave us some messages if this is
Yeah.
something you would be excited to do, would travel to do. What would you pay to enter? There may be, like all that kind of stuff comes into it.
Yeah,
Entry
definitely.
fees. Would we have to charge entry fee? All that kind of stuff. Of course, that's our business. We just want you to come and compete and be excited and have a good time. So let us know. Anything else you guys want to add? We got a few minutes left.
Oh
but-
yeah, I just like I said, sometimes you got to prioritize. That's there's been people in the past. There's been great champions, people whose names are on this trophy, who have in the past. One guy in particular, Sean Potteraki, whose name is on here. He always made it a point he would make sure to get a nap in, and even if
He
that
always
meant,
did.
even if that meant missing a game or two. And hey, he was successful in this.
Yeah.
He
So
was.
this is an example of somebody who's successful. He would make a point to, know what? I got to get some sleep to get my A game in. I'm planning a 3-hour nap right here.
Still
You can do
was.
that. There's also guys that just said, "Screw it, it's called coffee." You know, I mean, and it would go nuts with it. Those are kind of some of those choices play into it a little bit.
It's an endurance. It's an endurance match. Yeah.
Especially once you get into like the 20th hour, your video game skills, it's not. They kind of go to the wayside.
We're kind of talking about. I don't know if this would be in a larger scale based on a venue we use and people officiating and going over the stuff. I don't think we could play like how we played. We played on the honor system.
Might not. Yeah, exactly.
And we made it. We played in 22 hours. That's the rule. You start 22 hours. You have 22 hours to finish it. I don't think that would be the way we would approach
Right.
a
Well,
bigger
that's why you do it
scale.
for an entire weekend and then.
may not be feasible.
Yeah, it might not be. That's what I'm saying. You play Friday night. You play
Not everyone wants to
Saturday.
do that.
You know, I mean,
I don't
basically, we'll say, hey, the competition is open Friday at this time. It closes at this time Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We crown a champion at 6 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah.
Just like, for example, the pinball champions, how they do theirs. But we're
And
talking
the winners, the losers of the winners' dinner.
that would be
That would be awesome.
just a big old grand dinner.
Yep, this 72, you 72 owe this 72 dinner and drinks.
One other thing, if I could point out, I really feel this is important to show. This console is important to us. This shows the past winners of all this. I really think it's important to show the first name on here.
Oh, yeah, it's real important.
It's 1997, Josh House.
Josh will always be the VGC first champion.
No matter how
First-
bad you beat the crap out of me in the future. Josh House.
Hey, and the title of this show is actually a direct line from, and this is a whole different thing we can talk about for an hour, but we made VGC movies also. We made,
Fan films, if you will.
fan films of our
parodies other
competition,
things.
yeah.
But it's actually a line from one of the movies. And it is one, as soon as it was written and it was in there, it was one of those things where even when we first started the show, it was like, we could call the show Settle It on the Screen. And when we finally got this show, it was like, well, it's a no-brainer. Like, we already know the name of the show.
And when it comes to the Twin Galaxies community, I guess there's so many, not the Twin Galaxies community, the gaming community, whatever. Not to be mean against you guys or insult you, but a lot of you just, when it comes to the internet, you just bitch about things. I'm better than you. You're better than me. Oh, he cheated. You know what? That's why we called the show Settle It on the Screen.
Exactly.
Both play against each other and get it over with.
Yep.
It's silly and
Right.
stupid. And that's why I like the show name now, because there's so much of that going on. It's like,
my God.
just play the video game. Just shut up and play.
Yeah, you think you're that good at Virtual Cop? You think you can beat me and Mike at Virtual Cop?
You
Good
probably can.
luck.
You probably
Yep.
can.
Yeah,
beat
every
me.
competition has a certain degree of smack talk. Everyone's going to talk smack to everybody. We encourage that, but at the end of the day, you can talk all the smack you want. We're here to tell you, settle it on the screen.
Settle on the Screen. And on that note, for Settle on the Screen,
Yep.
we got Josh Houselander, Mike Janae, Nick Houselander, myself, Mike Soroka. We'll see you next time. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
See ya.
See you.